University PTAC at Cincinnati, and we help businesses to identify, bid on, and win government contracts.
Okay. Bobby, you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. Good morning, everybody. My name is Bobby Bell Bartholomew. I'm with the Ohio Department of Administrative Services in the Equal Opportunity Division. Our office certifies minority-owned, women-owned, veteran-owned, otherwise socially and economically disadvantaged businesses to do business with the state in our MBE, EDGE, and VBE certification programs, and soon to be WBE programs.
Thank you, Bobby. Jaquetta, and I always pronounce your name wrong, so forgive me.
Oh no. My name is Jaquetta Brown, and I am with Cincinnati Metropolitan Housing, and I am the Economic Inclusion Coordinator, and I do registration for Section 3.
Thank you. And Jalita?
Hi, everyone. I'm Jalita Stoltz. I am the Southwest Ohio Outreach Manager for the Ohio Department of Transportation. I cover the Dayton, Cincinnati, and Chillicothe region, and my role is to help our small women and minority-owned businesses who want to learn more about contracting with ODOT and who want to become certified as a disadvantaged business enterprise, an airport concession disadvantaged business enterprise, or a small business enterprise.
Thank you, Jalita. And I see we have Valeria coming on. She's in the process of connecting. So let me just, Valeria, are you there? Okay, let me just share my screen real fast so we can go over the agenda. Can everyone see the agenda this morning? Okay, all right, so we want to do the welcome the participants and the panelists, which we have done. We have a comparison chart that I want to share with everyone. We did that the first time, but I just want everyone to see this chart. So I'll go over that briefly. Today's presentations will be about the eligibility requirements for the certifications from the various agencies that just spoke, and then the application review. So this will be about 30 minutes for the presentation and then 10 minutes for the Q&A if you have any questions. And you can always follow up with the individuals from the agencies on your own if you feel to do so. So from 9 to 9:50, we'll have Bobby Bell from the Ohio Department of Administrative Services. And then following her will be Jalita Schultz from Ohio Department of Transportation. Jaquetta Brown will be presenting from Cincinnati Metropolitan Housing. I'm not sure if Janelle is on today, but if she is, she is also with Cincinnati Metropolitan Housing Authority with Procurement. And then we will follow up with Larry Brown from the Procurement Technical Assistance Center, followed by Valeria Cummings-Swope with the City of Cincinnati, she's the Development Manager for the Department of Economic Inclusion. And then we will round out the certification lab today with Shonda Harris from the Small Business Administration. She is the Business Opportunity Specialist for 8A. Now we have two house rules. One, we interact with the webinar. So please, if you have questions, use the chat box, ask your questions. And I also want to let you know that we have a certification workshop coming up on August 4th, which will be starting at 9 a.m. So the certification workshop will go over the programs itself, not just what the requirements are, which we're doing in the lab, but they'll talk more in detail about the program, the certifications, what the organizations do, and how they can assist you, what the benefits are for being certified with their particular organization. Okay. So having said that, I'm going to get started. Let me just pull up my, one second, please. Let me pull up the agenda on my side. Okay, so let me just show you the comparison chart that we have. Okay. Can everyone see this?
It's your desktop.
Yes.
Oh, there it is.
Okay, so you can see this. Okay, so this is the comparison chart that I created. And basically it has all of the organizations by category as far as if they're federal, state, or city. And then it has the name of the agency here, and all of these agencies are participating in the certification workshop and the certification lab with us today. And then it has the type of certifications that they offer. It has what the agency is, so the MBAC, which is the Minority Business Assistance Center, what our certifications are marked here, easy for you to follow. And then it goes into ODOT, Cincinnati Metropolitan Housing, Procurement Technical Assistance Center, Department of Economic Inclusion, and the SBA. And then on the other side, it has strategic partners. So all of the strategic partners that are presenting today, we have their contact name and their contact information. Now these are all hyperlinks, so if you click on any one of these, it will take you to the website of that particular organization, as you can see here, okay? So this will go out to everyone after the webinar today so that you will have access to this and will be able to contact the individuals directly as regarding any certification that you may want, and then you can see it all in one place of what's going on around the state level, city, and federal level. Having said that, let's get started with Bobby Brown. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen so that Bobby can share her screen and get started with her presentation. Thank you so much, Bobby, for being with us today. I'm not Bobby Brown, Bobby Bell Bartholomew. Got all these sounds. Sorry, Bobby.
It is all good. So you'll get everybody will get copies of these PowerPoints after. Thank you so much again for joining us, everybody. I'm going to breeze through really quickly the front end of this because this is just, on the front end of it, it's just really basic information about the Ohio Business Gateway, which is where our applications for MBA and Edge are housed, for lack of a better term, where you can find them. So it kind of just gives you a background about the gateway. So for our purposes today, not really paramount, so we're gonna just get to the actual applications because there's some things that you'll need to know when you go to fill out the application. The very first thing is that everybody who logs into the Ohio Business Gateway needs a username and password, which is generally called an OHID. If you have not accessed the Ohio Business Gateway since 2018, you'll need to definitely call the Gateway Help Desk phone number for assistance. But if, you know, if not, there's a forgot username and password. You register the same way you would with most websites. The Gateway Help Desk is they're great people to give assistance, get assistance from. So there's some different options on logging in. Once you get logged in, your main screen is called your dashboard. And there's lots of information on your dashboard. You'll find new transactions, which are generally what forms on the gateway are called, or transactions. And it's not just us that use the gateway. A lot of state agencies do. So you probably have a gateway account if you are currently filing taxes, or your accountant is filing your quarterly taxes. So those are listed there. Job and Family Services, BWC, there's all kinds of forms or transactions there. To the right, far right on your dashboard, up in this upper corner, there's a little padlock. This padlock's important, and you need it in order to have, when you have filing administrator access, that padlock appears. The reason that I say that it's important is because in order to add transactions access to your gateway account, you need to have that padlock. The gateway forms themselves are not terribly difficult so much as the security that they have built into the front end of it. So I'm going to walk you through how you can add various transactions like the Equal Opportunity Division forms to your profile on the gateway. So for this example, we're going to assume that you have filing administrator access, but you don't yet have our application on your profile. Our application is called the Unified Application because it allows you to apply for MBE Edge or both on one unified form. We really thought we were clever when we came up with that name, guys. So you click the little padlock and your screen changes to your account access management. So over here you're essentially going to walk down this ribbon at the top of your screen. And you're just going to take like the first 3 steps. The very first one is called service areas. On the left side of your screen is all of the available service areas that are on the gateway. You know, like I said, there's a lot of agencies: horse racing taxes, Invest Ohio, employer withholding. And then on the right are those that you've been authorized already to access. In order to add our form, you need to find over here the Equal Opportunity Division and hit the plus sign to add it to your authorized service area. Once you've done that, you just click on the next step of the ribbon, which is transaction types. And the process is the same. You'll have a long list of forms or transactions on the left, and you click the plus sign to add it to your authorized side. In most cases, I generally just tell folks to just add all of our forms because we have about 7 applications on the gateway, and depending upon your industry, you may or may not need all of them. But should something come up, it's easier to have it on your dashboard than have to try to remember, how do I get that form on my account so that I can access it? So while you're in here, just add all of the Equal Opportunity Division forms. Then you go to the next step on the ribbon, which is user authorization. So this is a really quick step. 4, 5, and 6. They're really quick steps. You have this little permissions template at the top. All of these toggles are, when you get to this page, grayed out. What you want to do is click them so that they turn blue with a little checkbox or check mark like on this image. And that turns them all on so that you can read, edit, create, delete, do all of that good stuff that you're going to need to do to fill out the form. Then you copy permissions and click Save. That applies all of those permissions to all of the forms that you just added to your profile. At which case, you can hit the little house button to go back to your dashboard, and you should see the unified application listed on your dashboard. And you're able to hit the little arrow and go right to start filling out the form. So in about 8 little steps, you are ready to get started on your application. I would caution you though, before you start your application, that you have met with your MBAC, you have reviewed your documentation checklist, and make sure that you have all of the materials that you need. In most instances, it is easier to fill out the application if you have your supporting documentation in front of you, because you then have all of the answers to the questions on the form about, you know, what your revenue was for last year and the year before, how many employees. All of that information is readily available right in front of you. So it makes your application process go that much faster. But we are available to help, and this is our contact information. As I said, you will get copies of these slides, so don't feel like you need to, you know, quickly write down our phone number. I'm going to stop sharing and go to a web screen real quick so that I can,
Bobby,
yeah.
it's Deborah. I just have one question. What if you don't have that little padlock at the top? What do you do?
So if you don't have that padlock, you can do a couple things. You can call a gateway, you can call us, we can tell you who the administrator is on the account, because the administrator has to provide you access. Most often it is the accountant on the company who is filing taxes and can easily add the owner, who should probably have filing admin rights for their own account anyway. But if we tell you then that it's your CPA, for example, then you just contact your CPA, they set up your account and list you as an admin, and you're back to where you can add the form. But great question. Okay, so let's go to gateway.ohio.gov. Okay, you guys are seeing my web screen now, correct? Great. Okay, so like I said, when you log into the gateway, once you've added the application, you'll see on your dashboard a list of available forms that you have access to. And then you just click on that application to get started. In this instance, our standard application is 14 screens. Depending upon these answers, this can change. And you don't feel like you need to enter this all at once. If, say, a client comes in or you have a meeting, you can save and pick this back up on your in progress. Okay? So right off the bat, you're given this option of which program do I want to apply for, MBE, Edge, or both. If you select either MBE or Edge independently, you will only get asked questions related to that program. In this example, I'm going to select both. And then depending upon your business structure, you'll get the questions related to that business structure. A lot of these fields and questions are pretty self-explanatory. You know, date the business structure was established. The calendar field, select it and hit next. Throughout the application, you're going to fill in data, hit next, fill in data and hit next. Again, as I said, you can save and pick it back up. Save and exit rather. Because you know, I already have this gateway account, it does pick up some of this information. If I needed to change the email account, I could do that. Any of this information I could change. But I'm just going to hit next. That's just basic company information. Then we get to employee information. Remember that, like most websites, you know, we've got a little red asterisk that makes it a mandatory field. Full-time employee, if it's just yourself, you count on this list. And this is where I said having that information with you comes in handy, because you know, what was your business gross receipts from the last business year as reported to the IRS. When we get your application and your supporting documentation, we're going to see initially, does that match? Do the answers match what's on your taxes? Indicate procurement type of business. There's only 5, so pick that which is applicable. Business type, there's considerably more. If there's several that apply, pick the one that's closest to your primary nature of business. In this nature of business field, we do say concise, but I also want you to make sure that you are using good industry buzzwords. The reason for that is when the officer and you are working on your application, and this is what develops your scope of work when approved, which will be on our website. And that is what gets posted to our website, and it's used for keyword searches. So, you know, you want to include those buzzwords that are going to get you to come up in those search results. So you hit next. And again, you know, a lot of these are really self-explanatory. Date business began, operations. Method of acquisition. Did you buy it? Did you inherit it? Did you just start it outright? In some of these, if you select no, this response is going to be grayed out. Does your business do business under a different name? If no, you can't write in there. If yes, then explain. If you hit yes, then you have to type in another answer. Don't be sarcastic like I just was in mine. Okay, so here comes the first fun step of our application. And I use fun sarcastically again. Okay, so you're going to hit add, but I want you to make sure that you see this right here first. Once you enter all this information, it's important that you hit save before you hit next, because otherwise you'll lose all of the data. So you hit add, and because I just recently watched Wonder Woman, guys, we are going to be using her. Business-related compensation. Okay, so disadvantage category. Because I selected Edge and MBE, I have to make a selection here. Ohio resident, yes. US citizen, yes. Okay, Now, again, I mentioned that you have to hit save. What did I miss? Oh, email address invalid. I know it's invalid because that was a jumbled up mess. Save. There we go. Okay, so in saving, you get these two little hyperlinks up here. Now, if you just select MBE, you're not going to see these because these are tied to EDGE certification. EDGE includes personal net worth because it's for socially and economically disadvantaged businesses. But you have to fill in the data on these two hyperlinks in order to move on to the next screen. The challenge for a lot of businesses is you hit next, or you hit save and you hit next because unfortunately, this isn't very easy to see. It doesn't jump out at you. But it does need to be filled out. And this is just a basic personal net worth information. So you'll plug in real numbers. I'm just plugging in numbers. I don't want that number. And it calculates, as you're filling it in, your assets and your liabilities so that you'll see how your personal net worth is calculated. You hit save. And complete owner properties. If you don't have a property to list, you can put none and 0. Save. Okay, now we can move on to the next screen. Is your business co-located? If yes, hit yes and fill in. If not, no. This little section, it's kind of weird how they have it, but it's really, if one of these applies, you can move it over. If none of them do, you can just leave it the way it is. If you've previously received or been denied federal or state certification, enter that. And I know I'm going through this really quickly, guys, but we're here to help. Your MBAC is here to help. So Board of Directors information, if it is just yourself, you're a single member LLC, that is you. If you have other members on your board, hit add and enter their information. Company information, same thing. If you've got others, you can hit add, but if it's just yourself, this is you. Okay, so here's the next fun part of the form. And okay, so I quite honestly admit this is far from fun on the screen. And my apologies. I know it's a pain, but this is what the developers gave us, so this is what we live with. Unfortunately, this is where copy paste is your friend. In most cases, all of these independent decision-making functions is yourself, especially for single member LLCs. Yeah, if you've got other staff that are performing these functions, you're obviously going to want to write their names in and they're likely reporting to you, right? That absolutely makes sense. But if it is just yourself, then it really does mean that you have to put your name reporting to you on this entire screen, all the way down and by hitting next. And there's no easy way to do it other than copy pasting all the way through this form. Now, because I have done this so often, I do know that the drop downs for race and gender, you know, I can hit a keyboard key for them. So that speeds it up a little bit so I don't have to select the drop down for each of these after the first one. But then it's just NN F for female. Tab, 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 tab. Now, if I was African American for this answer, I would hit A, another A for Asian, H for Hispanic, what have you. So unfortunately, there is not a fast way to get through this screen. Okay, but there's actually 17 decision-making functions that we need you to answer for. I'm sorry. I see Deborah laughing because she hears people fussing about this all the time. As do I. But, you know, it kind of, at this point, it is what it is. I don't like it either, but it is our application, so. Some things you live with. Again, you're going to want to look at these and make sure that you're filling them out correctly. Do you have somebody who does complete your leasing agreements, but they report to you? And finally, when you get that all done, you can go next. And we're getting really close to the end here. Okay, so again, this is another example of why, if you have your documents, it's easy to fill these in. What were your business gross receipts? Oh, wait, wrong field. Okay, so, and this is another thing. So notice that this calendar is different. And all of the other calendar fields, you've been able to just select the calendar icon and enter a date. This is actually month and year ending. So 12, 20, 18, no, 17. Yeah. Contributions. Whatever contributions you've given to the company. So when you open the business, did you have a personal laptop or a personal vehicle that you assigned to the company? If so, enter here. If there was cash that you contributed, whatever assets or contributions. Contracts and licenses. If this does not necessarily equate to public contracts. If you've had private business, and you absolutely can list that here. Your 3 largest. If you've not had any, this isn't a mandatory field. So if you've not had any sales, you can move ahead in the application to this point. Professional licenses. This professional license should be relatable to the business that you're requesting certification for. If you are requesting certification for electrical contracting company, obviously you're going to want that kind of license. But if you also do hair on the side, we don't need to know about your cosmetology license. Or if you are an attorney, great, list that. But if you also do some contracting on the side, we don't need to know about your electrical license. Okay, personal eligibility statement. This is just where you're making a statement as to why you're applying for EDGE specifically. Got some various options. If race, you're going to select the race, but gender and next. Okay. Now, for this screen, this is why it is very important that the owner actually complete this application. One, if we get the application submitted by somebody other than the owner, it will be administratively closed. We will not process it. But 2, the reason for that is you're making an attestation here. You're saying that everything that you've entered to this point is true and correct. And in order for you to be able to make that statement, you have to be the one filling out the form. So fill that in, you hit next. And this is where you get a summary of everything that you've entered up to this point. You have not yet applied, you've not yet submitted your application, but this is a summary of everything you've entered. If you see something that needs fixing, you can still go back and edit it. Once you hit file, you can't edit your application. So review this carefully, make sure everything's right. If it is, hit file. That is what sends it to us. You'll get a receipt. It'll be PDFs. Eventually. And you'll get a PDF of the application that you just submitted. The documentation checklist that shows up on your transaction, disregard it. Use the one that Deborah will give you, or the one that's on our website. This one that's on OBG needs updated, and we're working with them right now to get that updated. But here's the application summary. So this will give you everything that you just submitted.
Okay, thank you so much, Bobby. I'm going to ask if there are any questions that the participants may have regarding the application process for the MBE and EDGE certifications with the state of Ohio. If you do, please raise your hand and write your question in the chat or in the Q&A. Are there any questions? Okay. Okay. Linana, am I pronouncing your name right?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead and ask Bobby your question, please.
Do you have to wait a year to apply for the certification, or can you do it 11 months and a few weeks prior?
Well, you do have to wait a year. If you applied in advance, unfortunately, it'll be denied. I'm sorry. Even though it takes that amount of time to process, you do have to wait until you've actually hit the 1 year before you hit submit.
Okay.
Okay, thank you for your question. Now we have Stacy. Stacy, you have a question for Bobby?
I do. Good morning. I was trying to type it out in the Q&A. So in the beginning, as you were going through how to attach the applications from the available to the authorized. So I was doing that while Bobby was explaining it. However, I missed the step where it actually makes it the step where you save and then go back to home. So I have them under my authorized service areas, but then when I go back from home here, they disappear. What was that one step?
Okay, so you need to, the third step on the ribbon is user authorization.
Yes.
Yep, and then you need to click all of those little blue
Permission templates. Okay,
Got
it. I got it from here. Thank you so much.
Yes.
Okay, are there any other questions for Bobby? All right, well, if there aren't any other questions, I'm going to thank Bobby for participating and sharing, dropping that knowledge on us. I'm so happy that you did that because I got to see the application process myself, because we used to be able to access it, but now we can't on our end. So thank you so much, Bobby. I know you have another webinar to get to today.
I do.
So thank you for giving us your time and appreciate you. So now we're going to move on to Jolita, who is with the Department of Transportation. And she is going to go over the application for ODOT. Thank you so much, Jolita, for joining us today.
Hello, everyone. Like Deborah said, I'm going to go over the application for the Disadvantaged Business Enterprise Program. So give me 1 second. I'm going to share my screen. I apologize for the noise in the background. I am working from home, and I actually ordered groceries, and I didn't know when they were going to come, and they came right at this very second. So my husband's carrying them in, if you see him in the background. The perks of working from home. Okay, so can you see my screen? I've got a file open. Okay, so first of all, I'm going to open up the application. It is the Uniform Certification Application, where you can apply for DBE certification or ACDBE. So for those that maybe weren't on the first webinar, the DBE program has two components. The disadvantaged business enterprise is primarily used for your transits, your airports, and ODOT. I'm sorry, I think somebody's unmuted.
Hi, can everyone mute their phone, please, or their laptop? Thank you so much.
Okay, yeah, I think we're good now. And then the airport concession disadvantaged business enterprise is another form of the certification that is specifically used for vendors inside of airports. So if you are interested in either having property on the airport, maybe you sell food and you're looking to actually be located on airport property, getting certified as an ACDBE can be helpful. And if you want to service those vendors, so let's say that you're a painting company, you could potentially also qualify as an ACDBE on top of the DBE. But it's just one application for both. The first couple pages of the application is just instructions. So I'm just going to skip through there and go straight to part one. So you're just going to choose if you're applying for DBE, ACDBE,
Julita?
or both. Yeah.
Julie, I'm sorry, but the only thing we see is your file. We don't see
Oh,
the
really?
actual document.
Okay, I'm looking at the document. Let me see if I'm used to Teams and usually it switches to what I go to. So let me see if I can.
You have to, did you share? Yeah,
Yeah, let me stop share and then go directly to that screen.
okay.
Thanks for telling me though. That's one problem whenever I see one thing. Okay, am I good now? Okay, so like I said, the first 4 pages or so are just directions, and you can reference that at any time in the application if you have questions, or of course you can reach out to me. I'm here to answer any questions you have. But getting into the application, first of all, you're just going to choose whether you're going to apply as a DBE or ACDBE. As you can see, we have a paper form. We actually don't have an online portal like the Mbe Edge program. So you would fill out the PDF and then you can submit that through our webpage, and I'll show you how to do that at the end. I'm not going to go through every single question. A lot of it's basic information, your contact information and things like that. You do need to let them know if you're already certified as either a DBE or ACDBE. The one neat thing about the DBE program is every state has one. So if you are already certified in Ohio, you can then go get certified in any other state. But there is a separate application for that, and it's much shorter. So you would not use this application to do that. So that's why they asked that question, just to make sure that you don't go through all this paperwork for nothing. They want to know if you've had any site visits by this state or another state for specifically the DBE program. And they also want to know if you've been denied or decertified as for basically any certification. So if you have previously applied for certification with a city, then you would also, and you were denied, you would want to indicate that here. Then we just have the general information for your company. You can just give a very brief overview here on the business profile. This information is not posted anywhere, but it helps the certifying agent to understand what your company does. And if you know your NAICS codes, you would need to put them here. A NAICS code is a 6-digit number that's used to define the type of work that you do. I can help you figure those out if you're unsure, but you can go to the census site, or you can just go to Google and type in NAICS code, and it'll let you search to find those codes. When was the company established and how long you've owned them? So like I said, some basic information. They want to know how you acquired the business. You do have to be for profit in order to apply for certification. What's your legal structure, and then how many employees you have. So you are you're an owner and you don't have any employees, you'll just put one under full-time. Do not leave anything blank on the application because they will most likely send the form back to you and let you know that it's incomplete. So the one difference between DBE and the MBE Edge program is that for the DBE program, you do not have to be in business for a full year in order to apply. So as you see right here, it's asking for the gross receipts for the last 3 years. Obviously, if you've not been in business for over a year, you may not even have any taxes. So you can always list out the years and just put NA or 0 for that. They do want to know the gross receipts for any affiliate firm. So if your firm does have an affiliation with another company, that is included in the overall cap for the program, which is 23.98 million average gross receipts. That number can be lower based on your next codes, but that is the overall cap for the program. So getting into some more details, is your company co-located or does it share any sort of telephone number, address, storage space, or staff is really important with any other business? If so, you would need to put yes, and then you do need to explain that. And that could potentially, if you do have some of these shared properties or staff, that company could potentially be considered an affiliate, even though you may not look at them that way. So that's why they need to know that information. Has your firm had any ownership interest in another, or has any other firm had an ownership interest in your company at the present time? Yes or no? At the present time or any time in the past, has your firm ever existed under different ownership, been a subsidiary, or existed as a partnership, owned any percentage of any other firm, had any subsidiaries, or served as a subcontractor with another firm constituting more than 25% of your firm's receipts. So if you've only been in business for a year and you have only had one contract, you would potentially put yes here, but then you would explain, you know, this is my sole contract. So, or if there's any other reason why 25% of your business has went to a specific firm, you would want to provide an explanation for that. The next page is specifically for the majority owner. So if you are a 51 or higher owner in the company, this page applies to you. Let's say you have 3 owners, 33% each. There's an identical form on the next page that you would use for the owners. And you need to fill this out for anyone who has ownership interest in the company. It's just your basic overall information, then gender and ethnicity. They want to know how many years you've been an owner, if you have stock. This part right here is really important. It's the initial investment to acquire ownership interest in the firm. So how much money did you put in? Did you contribute personal equipment? How did you start the business? But your supporting documentation must match this. So if you put $10,000 or even $5 into a business bank account, you would want to potentially go to the bank and ask for your original statement if you don't have that, to show where you put the money in the company. If you took out a loan for a piece of equipment, you would need to provide that. So you do have to have proof of how the company was started. And that can be a holdup if you've owned your company for 30, 40 years. So if you don't have that documentation, you do need to provide an explanation. And I do understand that if your company has been in business for a really long time, you may not have that. Are there any familial relationships to other owners and employees? Does your mom, dad, or brother own the company, have ownership, or work in the company? Do you as an owner perform a management or supervisory function for another business? Yes or no? If you do, you do need to list that out. And does this owner work for any other company that has a relationship with the firm? So that could be ownership, office space, financial investments, sharing personnel, etc. So it's important to note that on the application. If you do work for another company or a nonprofit organization, or even volunteer for more than 10 hours per week, they do want you to identify that as well. 4A, what is the personal net worth of the disadvantaged owner? I typically recommend that you leave that blank until you complete your personal net worth form, because that is where you'll get that number, and I will be going over that later. Is there any trust for the benefit of the disadvantaged owner? If there's a revocable trust, that does count in your personal net worth. So you would include that. And then, do any of your immediate family members manage, own, or associated with another company? This next page is exactly the same, but it's for individuals that hold less than 51% ownership. So this is what I was talking about. If there's a lower split, you would fill that out. But it's the same exact questions. Section 4 gets into control of the company. Here you're going to list your officers or board of directors. If you don't have any, just put non-applicable on that. Otherwise, include the information requested, date appointed, ethnicity and gender. If you're a corporation, they look at that closely to ensure that the company is actually controlled by socially and economically disadvantaged individuals. Do any of your officers or board perform management or supervisory functions for other businesses? If yes, identify that. Do any of them own or work for any other firm that has relationship with that firm? Now we're getting into the duties of owners, officers, directors, managers, and key personnel. I guess here's a perk to not having the portal, unlike the Edge program, MBE. You don't have to, copy and paste through all of that. If you're a sole owner, you're just going to put your name, title, and then if you always, frequently, seldom, or never perform the functions, if you have multiple owners, you can always print out extra sheets to fill those out. Make sure that you answer them honestly, and it lists out the different criteria. So do you always bid and estimate? Do you always make the purchasing decision? It can be a lot easier if you're the only owner in the firm. You're probably just going to click A all the way down. You're also going to complete this first for, like I said, the owners and officers. Well, sorry. These are for the owners, and then it's the same information here for the officer, directors, managers, key personnel. So what do they do, and how often do they do that? So as you can see, some of the information it does seem kind of duplicate, but it's usually targeted toward a specific person. Now you're just going to list out your inventory, equipment and vehicles, if you own, if you lease it, where that item is stored. So if it's at your home, if you just have a home office, feel free to put your house. That's no big deal. They just need to know where it's at. And then they want information about your office space and storage space, where, where's the address, is it owned or leased? And the value of the property. Now we're getting more into the financial information. Does your firm rely on another firm for management functions or employee payroll? If you say yes, you may want to make a note of who that is. They may ask you later as well. You need to list out all of the banks that you have accounts with, and they will want a copy of the bank authorization and signature card. Usually you can just go to the bank and ask that, and they can produce that. You may not have a copy of the signature card on file. And they want to know who is able to sign checks on the account. The next question is about money loaned to your firm from financial institutions. So you would include all that information here, and then in the supporting documents, it's going to list that you provide the information about that. So you will provide copies of all this. This is contributions or transfers of assets to or from your company, and then to or from any of its owners or individuals. So did you transfer money into the company? Did you transfer money out of the company? They need to know all of that over the past 2 years. Next is just your license or permits held by owners or employees. So if you're a trucking company, you would put your CDL here. If you're an engineering company, you may put your engineering license information here. If you run a company that doesn't require any licensing, you would just put, like I said, non-applicable. Just try not to leave anything blank. The next page is about contracts. First of all, they want to know the 3 largest contracts completed by your firm in the past 3 years. And then the second part is the largest active jobs on which your firm is currently working. It's not required that you have 3, but if you do, please list those. And it is okay if some of this information repeats. Section 5 applies only if you are applying for the ACDBE. You will check if you want to operate, or if you currently operate a concession at an airport, or if you are going to supply a good or service to an airport concessionaire. If you don't operate on airport property yet, that's fine. You would just click no and no, and not have to fill out any of this information. It's okay if you're not currently on airport property, as long as you can provide a good or service to a concessionaire. This is one of the most important pages of the document. I just zoomed out a little so you can see, but I'll zoom back in. It's your Affidavit of Certification. And essentially you are affirming that you filled out the application and provided the documentation to the best of your ability. You certify that you are a member of one of these groups, and that you are socially disadvantaged. And then you also certify that your personal net worth is under 1.32 million, excluding your home. And this does have to be notarized. So make sure that you do that before you submit your application. The last page is all the supporting documents, and it's broken down between all applicants. And then if you are a partnership or joint venture, there are specific documents, and same for corporation or LLC. These are optional documents that they may ask for, but you don't have to submit up front. You just want to make sure that you have either submitted or addressed the different documents on this list. So let's go for the example that you've not been in business for a year, and you don't have any equipment because you're a consultant, so you have a computer. You may not have, titles, registration for a truck because you're not a trucking company. You can just list this out and put non-applicable. If you've only been in business for 1 year, you would have 3 years of personal taxes, but you may not have any business taxes yet. So just a simple note, have not filed taxes, only been in business for 1 year, sufficient. Remember, whenever you submit your application, typically the person that is going to initially look at this is not going to be the person that is reviewing it for qualifications. It's somebody who's just going through the list and making sure you have the documents and that it's complete. So that's another reason it's important to address all of these, because it doesn't want to look like you accidentally skip something. So like I said, typically I just say, you can create a Word document. You can always print it off and sign it to address anything that may not be there. So this is the first part of the application. Unfortunately, there are 2 more forms. So I will stop sharing and bring up the next form so that I make sure that it is on the screen. And Deborah, you had asked if you need to give a reason for the non-applicable. If you have a reason, yes, some of it may be straightforward, like I don't have, I'm not a trucking company, so I don't have trucks. It can be as simple as you need, though. It does make it a lot clearer, I think, if you do just a short sentence. It's not a whole lot of extra work. Okay, 1 second. Let me get the file open before I share. The next form I'm going to talk about is the personal net worth form. That's what I had alluded to earlier. Okay, 1 second, it's not popping up. There it is. Okay, do you see the personal net worth form? Can someone verify? Deborah? I'm good, you can see it, okay.
Yes, I'm sorry.
No,
Yes.
it's fine. I just want to make sure before I start talking. So the personal net worth form is an individual's net worth. So if you are married, only your assets count toward your personal net worth. You will indicate that you are married. What I usually recommend is that you make a note. I would just make a note right here and say calculate joint assets calculated at 50%. It's probably easier for you to do the math than to give it to the certifying agent for them to do the math of the 50%. If you do that, you would have to indicate every time there's a joint asset. But it's perfectly acceptable if you put calculated. So for cash, if you have $100, but it's a joint banking account, then you would put $50 here. So that's kind of what I mean. Anything that's in your spouse's name that you don't have any ties to does not count against your personal net worth. And as I mentioned before, it does exclude your primary residence in your net worth. So a lot of this stuff is going to reference you to complete certain sections. So you can always start here. So they want to know, anything that any net worth form would reference. So, do you have any stocks, bonds, retirement accounts? You would include the value, but if I were to cash out my retirement today, I would have a penalty. And so you would subtract that from the amount. So it's present day today. If I were to, cash it out, what is the actual value is what I'm counting in my net worth. They do want you to list your primary residence, even though it's not in the calculation, you would still put all the information about that here. And then if you have any other properties, you would list them out and this would count in your personal net worth. Life insurance, if you have a whole life policy, it would be the cash out value. If you have term, there's no dollar attached to that. So it would be 0. They want to know about all your assets. So do you own any vehicles? Do you have a loan for those? What's left on it? What's the present value? Household goods and jewelry. Obviously, you don't have to provide an itemized list of everything in your home. You can estimate kind of like what the value of your assets would be. That one's kind of a little bit probably more difficult, I think, for people to think about. You could also potentially use the value that you have with your insurance company. However, that value may be inflated because you may insure your items for more than their actual actually worth. So, but that is one way that you could value this, those sort of household goods and jewelry. You know, what loans are out there. And remember, this is personal net worth. So this is not your business net worth. A lot of people get confused, and even though you personally guaranteed a business loan, it does not count on your personal net worth. So you can't use that to lower your net worth if you have personal guarantees for your business, unfortunately. It's based truly on personal assets. So what time does my presentation end, Deborah?
Let's see, your presentation ends at 10:30. Have you concluded?
Oh, I've got a lot more, so I was trying to see how much
Okay.
detail to go into. So,
Well, actually, it's 10:20, and then you have 10 minutes of Q&A. Okay.
okay. So I won't get into much more detail about this so that I can show you the next form and how to submit. But like I said, I'm here to help. So if you are applying, feel free to give me a call, or we can even set up a Teams meeting, a Zoom meeting, whatever, to talk about this. So I'm going to go ahead and bring up the next document. The next document is called a NextCode Descriptor Request Form. And as we talked about, you list out on your application the next codes that you're applying for. You would do that here. Some of this information is going to be duplicated in the application. It's because this form was created to work with the initial application, but also after you're certified, if you want to add next codes, this is the form that you would use. So you're going to list out the equipment just like you did on your application. It does have a list of supporting documentation. So just like in your application, they want you to provide resumes. You don't have to provide those twice. The one copy is fine, but that's just to explain why some of this is duplicated. One of the differences is here they do want you to submit copies of contracts as supporting documentation to show that you have the ability to perform the work. And once again, you're going to sign off on this. This one does not have to be notarized, but you will need to submit this with your application. So you may request certain NAICS codes. You may not be awarded all of those, and that's because they're looking at, you know, what you have the ability to perform right now. So if you're looking to expand the type of work that you do, they won't give you those NAICS codes right now. And as a DBE, in order to count toward the goal, you do have to be certified in particular NAICS codes to perform that work to count. So the other big question that comes up is, what if I've only been in business for a month and I don't have any contracts? That is fine. You can note that. They're going to look at your past experience to determine what NAICS code you can be certified in and equipment. But if you have a dump truck and you worked as an employee driving one for 15 years, you're not going to have any issues getting certified in that code due to lack of contracts. So I'm going to go ahead really quickly and bring up our website. Time goes by really quickly whenever you're going through this stuff. So, okay, that should work. So the short link to get to this website is ohioucp.org. And it has all the different links that you can use to apply for certification. And there's some detailed instructions here. So this is kind of a new portal that we have to submit the application. When you click on it, it's going to pop up. You're going to put your first name, last name, and email, and then you will receive an email where you can click the link and go in and submit your application and all the supporting documents. The good thing about the new portal is that it seems like there's kind of no limit to the capacity that it can hold. So you should be able to submit everything through the portal, but if there's not enough space, you can always use this link here. So I don't really have a lot of time, so I'm not going to go into the portal per se, but essentially you go in and there's going to be a screen that you sign off on, and then there's an upload button to put your documents in. This is also the website, once you're certified, that you're going to submit an annual declaration, which affirms that you still qualify for the program. The one good thing about the DBE program is you actually never expire. So you just have to keep up with those annual declarations. I didn't want to skip over the Sbe program. So just real quickly, hold on, is there something? Okay, so just real quickly, you can click on the Sbe link. This application you actually do online. It's much shorter than the DBE application. So you'll go under the procedure here and just click on a link. It's going to be very similar to the one I showed you before, where you put in your name and email, and you will get an email sent to you where you can upload all your documents. I think the application is only like 2 pages long, and you essentially are going to submit taxes and resumes and a notarized personal net worth form, and then of course information about contracts and list of equipment. The Sbe program is a race and gender neutral program, so you only have to be a small business to qualify, and a small business has average annual gross receipts of under 7 million for under 15 million for construction, sorry, and 7 million for engineering and design. This program is specific to construction. So if you apply for DBE, they will also consider you for Sbe at that time. All right, I think I covered it. I think I made my time. So does anyone have any?
Thank you so much. Are there any questions for Jalita regarding the DBE certification process? Yeah, I don't see any.
I'll drop my contact information in the chat. Feel free to reach out to me with any questions you have. Obviously, because of COVID, we're not meeting in person, but that's something that we would do in the past and will continue in the future once this whole thing's over. And I am more than willing to, go over your entire application, make sure that you have all the supporting documentation before you submit. Yes, you have a question?
Okay.
It says Linyana has a question. What's your question? Can you unmute yourself? Or
let me, I think I have to.
okay.
Did she raise her hand?
She wrote in the chat that she has a question.
Linyana, or is it Stacy? Who's today?
It's Linyana.
Okay. Oh, she wrote it in the chat. Okay. Are you able to see it?
She has a question, but she can't unmute herself. Can you unmute her?
Okay. Let me get, okay. Go ahead, Linyana.
I just got approved for my DBE, but I didn't get considered for the other one that you stated. Once you apply for the DBE, you will get considered for the other one. So how do I get considered? And I got approved in January of this year.
Okay. Are you construction or design engineering?
Construction, general contractor.
Okay. I will. What's the name of your company?
Nova Status LLC. You want me to type it?
Yes, please. And I'll go in and look at your certification, and I'll reach out to them and see if it was just an oversight or whatnot. Unfortunately, that can happen. But we'll make sure that we get you on the list, and you won't have to do any additional information most likely. they should have it all from your DBE.
Okay, thank you.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you, Yana. Appreciate that. So are there any other questions that we have for Jalita? Okay, Jalita, thank you so much. So we're going to jump right in with Jaquetta Brown from the Cincinnati Metropolitan Housing Authority.
Hello.
And
You ready for me?
yes, go ahead, Jaquetta.
Good morning, everyone. I apologize. My phone is on the charger, so I'm kind of trying to make sure I don't get cut off. Today, what I'm going to be doing is just basically showing you the application process to register as a Section 3 business. Let me go ahead and share my screen. Okay. Just basically what Section 3 is, it's really just a provision of HUD Act of 1968 that promotes economic growth of small businesses, MBEs, WBEs, and self-sufficiency to low and very low income individuals living in the public housing. Come on, next. All right. Specifically what Section 3 does, if you are a business, an MBE, WBE, it requires you to provide certain employment, job training, and contracting if you should receive any type of HUD funding to very low and low income individuals that are residing in public housing or within that surrounding area where the project is, or to eligible business, meaning other Section 3 businesses. So just to basically get to, let's go to slide 6. Okay. Oh, I don't want that slide. I want slide 7. I'm sorry. Okay. So in order to qualify as a Section 3 business, you need to meet one of the 4 categories that you see listed. The criteria is all self-certifying, so there's nothing that you have to submit to go along with this paperwork. You can either be a business that is 51% or more owned by a CMHA resident or a person who meets the income level for HUD. You can also qualify if your business that you own, you have at least 30% or more of Section 3 residents, which are low to very low income individuals. For your permanent, full-time, part-time, or seasonal employees. This third category is really not as popular as the rest of them. This third category means that HUD has a youth bill, which is a Department of Labor program for individuals ages 16 to 24 who have dropped out of high school, but are in this program to get a construction certification or some other type of certification if it's a plus program, and you're going to utilize those individuals within that covered area where the project is at. So if you have a HUD program or you're working with another service agency who has this program, you can qualify as a Section 3 business as well. This last category is our most popular one because you're just making a commitment that if you should get an award, that to the greatest extent feasible, you will contract out at least 25% or more to another Section 3 business. That's how that economic growth comes into play under Section 3. Now, the actual registration form is really simple. You would either say that you're a new applicant or renewing your application. Let me stress, the application only lasts for 3 years. So at the end of 3 years, you have to renew your application. And the reason why is because your status of eligibility may have changed during that time, which happens. But if you register, when you initially register, say if you initially register as a Category 1, and during those 3 years, your status changes, you'll still be considered a Category 1 unless you turn in a new registration form to start it all over again because the registration lasts for 3 years. So you would put your business name, you would put your business address. A lot of people who have a business under Section 3, some of them do not have a physical business address, so they put their personal address. Just keep in mind that this information does go onto a national web list for both Section 3 under HUD as well as CMHA. So everyone will be able to see this address. So if you don't want everybody having your personal address, you might want to try to get a P.O. box or a location or somewhere else that you want someone to send mail to instead of your personal home. If you have a website, that's great. You put that information, your business phone number. This is the biggest key. This contact person may not be the same person that owns this business. So make sure you put that person that can contact in reference to the services that you provide for this business and the number that they can be contacted at, along with their email, because this is the person that is going to get all the inquiries when it comes to someone trying to get services from your business. Make sure to put what your business provides. If this isn't here, it really doesn't do me any good, because once I go to put your name on this list, I need to be able to let others see what services that your business provides. Then you check which box, whichever one. You can check one or more, whichever your business applies to. You check the number of boxes that makes your business eligible. Remember, this is a self-certifying certification, so whatever you say, we're taking as good.
Jaquetta?
Yes.
Hi, Dwayne has a question, so I'm gonna allow him to just ask he raised his hand, so Dwayne?
Yes. Did I understand correctly that Ms. Brown said the contact person cannot be the same person that owns the business?
No. What I said was the contact person may not be the same person that owns the business.
Oh, okay. All right. Sorry about that. Thank you.
That's okay. Some people who own a business, the person that normally handles the inquiries and different things like that is someone like their administrative or somebody who handles the paperwork, or maybe their business partner. It may not necessarily be that business owner. So just whoever this contact person is, make sure you put that information for that person. So once you sign and date this form, you send it back to me. I make sure that I have all the information that I need. Then once that is done, you will be considered as a registered self-certified Section 3 business, and you will go on our CMHA website, which is accessible by other agencies within the city of Cincinnati, Hamilton County, and outside of Hamilton County. You can also register on HUD. HUD has a more national registry where other business outside of the country, outside of the city of Cincinnati, state of Ohio, can look at your information. They can also look on ours, but a lot of businesses that are out of the state will go to the HUD registry when they need to solidify other businesses that are Section 3 to meet their qualifications when they have a contract. And then this is my contact information. If you are not a Section 3 and you would like to become a Section 3 business, you can always reach me at my email, jabrowin@cintimha.com, or you can go to, this is a mistake, Section 3 at citimha.com, not Y. That should be an I. Or you can always call me as well. So let me stop sharing. So that is how you can become a Section 3 business. If there's any questions, I can take any questions.
Are there any questions regarding the CMHA Section 3 certification? I don't see any for you.
Okay.
You had the most straightforward application process thus far, so I think you answered everything.
Section 3 is really, really simple. The only thing is, once you're on it, that's when the questions really come back, like what can I do to get business as far as working with CMHA, or how do I work with another entity? You can always collaborate on different projects as a Section 3 to help a business meet their Section 3 requirements. So there is some benefits to working with Section 3.
Okay, absolutely. Thank you so much, Jaquetta,
You're so
for
welcome.
your presentation. Appreciate you being here. Thank you for your time. Now we're going to move on to Larry Brown. We're actually ahead of schedule, which I'm sure everybody on this webinar are thankful for that. So I'm sure we're all very busy. So Larry, I'm going to bring you up with Procurement Technical Assistance Center. So welcome. Thank you for being here and go right ahead.
Thank you, Deborah, and welcome everyone. So let me share my screen here. Deborah, are you able to see the screen?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. All right, so again, I'm the procurement specialist with the Ohio University PTAC, or Procurement Technical Assistance Center. And I'm able to assist with 8A as well as Hub Zone certifications, but today I'm going to be talking about the VOSB, Veteran-Owned Small Business, and the SDVOSB, which is the Veteran Service Disabled Small Business Verifications. As opposed to my counterparts, there is no application process per se, and it's not a certification, but more of a verification that you are indeed a veteran-owned business or a service disabled veteran-owned business. And so it's really about documentation, uploading documentation to verify that status. And so you have to be 51% owned and operated. If you're service disabled, that your disability has to be service connected. And to save a lot of time, so when you go to the Veteran First website to verify your veteran-owned business, you want to accomplish what I have on the screen right now first, because otherwise you'll be stopping and starting, it'll be requesting information or asking if you've done this or done that, and it'll just slow down the process, and that can be kind of frustrating. So I always emphasize the fact that you want to register your business name with the Secretary of State of Ohio. And when you do that name registration, you don't automatically create, like, let's say, for instance, you start out, as many businesses do, as an LLC. So you don't have an operating agreement. So you need to create an operating agreement, because that's one of the documents that you'll need to submit. You'll need to have already completed your SAM.gov registration, the System of Award Management. That's a federal website that you can register with to be made aware of bids and solicitations by the federal government. The federal government has 23% set-asides for small business, veteran-owned business, women-owned business, and so forth. So you want to make sure that you're registered with SAM. You want to have your DMV number or Dun & Bradstreet number. It's not required that you have your boroughs, but you want to do that as well. And then you can proceed to the Veteran First website. And again, I just want to emphasize that these are the items that they're going to really be focused on to verify for you so that you are a veteran-owned business. Can you see the website there, Deborah?
I see eligibility requirements. I don't see, is that what you're talking about?
No, I'm on the veteran-owned website right now. Hold on one second.
You have to unshare this to go to the other one.
Okay,
Or
awesome.
just share your whole desktop and then you can just flip back and forth.
How about now?
There you go. We got it. We got it.
Awesome. Very cool. All right, so this is the website that you will actually go to verify your business as a veteran-owned or service-disabled veteran-owned small business. It's kind of a busy website, so what you really want to focus on is the verification guides and popular resources section. And if you click on this very first link, I would encourage going through these links first. I'm going to show you ones that will apply when you're looking to verify your business as a veteran-owned small business. And you would want to start with this one. So preparing for verification, again, is asking for basically information that I had on my last slide, which is 51% ownership, control. So for instance, a lot of people will start a business. Let's say you are a veteran, you start a business and your main employee is actually the one that has a license as opposed to yourself. If that person, because of their expertise and their experience, is making the decisions, and ownership and control, again, is very, very important. So if the folks at the VA are determined that they're unclear who's actually making the decisions, that could be problematic as to whether they'll verify your business as a veteran-owned business. So again, I just want to emphasize that that's very important, that it's clear in your documentation that you have ownership and control. And so there's a document checklist. These are the required documents that you'll need to upload for your verification. And if you look at the top of the page, you'll see that the business structure for these documents is sole proprietorship. Some folks start as sole proprietorship, but the most common business structure right now is a limited liability company, or LLC. So I'll just kind of go through. I'm not going to, there's kind of self-explanatory what each of these documents are. And when you're applying to be, or not applying, but when you're looking to verify your business as a veteran-owned business, they would like for you to have 2 years of experience. So you may not have that, but that doesn't disqualify you. That's not an automatic disqualifier if you don't have 2 years in business. So your resume would be important at this point. So business license, resume to reflect your experience level, tax returns. Again, a startup can be verified as a veteran-owned business. So tax returns are very important, obviously, but if you don't have any, again, that's not a disqualifier, and you can continue through the process. You just submit what you have. If you have payroll, they're going to request that kind of documentation. You have to have a bank account. You cannot be verified as a veteran-owned business without a business bank account. So they'll want to determine, again, that you are the person that's in ownership and control of the business. You're the official signer. that kind of thing. So it's required that you have a bank account. If you have any contracts, lease agreements, again, operating agreement for an LLC, or bylaws if you have a corporation or an S Corp. And that's going to be very important to determine roles and responsibilities. And again, if it's unclear that you are the person that's in control of this business, you're the main decision maker, there's not a position at a higher level than you, those kinds of things, even salary. Sometimes when businesses start out, the owner will not take a salary, and that's okay, but you have to make it clear why that is. Or you can't really have someone making more money, owning more stock, which would allow them to have a bigger vested interest, a larger ownership in the business if someone owns more stock than you do. So all those things are important. If you're not taking a salary or something else that can be clarified, you are allowed to submit an LOE or a letter of explanation to be able to make that more clear as to why that is. So, you know, it's not that some of those situations can occur, but you have to be very specific, very clear as to why it is that someone makes more money than you, or that you're not taking a salary, or things of that sort. You cannot, if there are other co-owners, or if there's board of directors, they cannot outvote you, right? Voting is important as well to show ownership and control. So it's very important as well to make that clear in your documentation. Again, your formation documents, articles, stock, which I kind of touched on. So this is the documentation checklist to make sure that you have all your documentations. You're going to need to upload this information to the website in order for them to verify you. You don't need this one. This is for re-verification. So your verification as a veteran-owned business or service-disabled veteran-owned business lasts for 3 years. So after 3 years, you'll kind of have to go through this all over again. If you have any substantive changes in your business, you'll need to submit that within a reasonable amount of time, usually 30 or 60 days. You have, if there's changes in positions, a name change of your business, things of that nature that are substantial, you'll need to submit that as well. But again, after 3 years, you'll need to do a re-verification. So you don't need to click on this link if you're looking to verify for the first time. Let me step back for just a minute. So these two links right here, the VA Veteran-Owned Small Business Verification Guidelines and the Government Contracting Program, are very important to give you more detail as to what the program entails, you know, what kind of benefits you can expect from being a veteran-owned business. And then again, the contracting programs and the 13 CFR, it goes into detail for that as well. So it's a lot of information to kind of help you out. The good news is that once you create your login, that I'm going to cover here in just a second, you'll get a phone call from the VA by a counselor who is going to help you throughout the process, right? So this process is very involved, but you have someone that's working with you and going with you step by step to help you out. I am a certified veteran verification assistance counselor, so I can help you with the process as well.
Sorry?
Yes.
I'm sorry to interrupt. Is there any way you can make these documents a little larger? I have on my glasses and I still can't see very well.
No problem.
If you go to the plus sign, I think you can zoom it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How's that? Is that better?
That, yes, now I can see. All right, thank you.
You're very welcome. Okay. All right, so once you create that ID, you'll get that phone call. And so part of the verification process is, again, to register with sam.gov. And this is the SAM link to the SAM website. And so if you click up here at the upper right corner, login, email, password, create an account. And so once you create that account, you can then go, now this is an application process, a very lengthy application process, I must say. But again, I'm here to help to get you through your SAM registration as well. And again, SAM, so the System for Award Management, is where you can see all kind of bids, solicitations that come out. And again, there are set-asides for veteran-owned small businesses. So this is definitely something that you want to obtain if you are in fact a veteran-owned small business. All right, so the new vendor information pages, it really kind of covers a lot of what I'm talking about right now. So this isn't so important, but the next one is, because this is really kind of what starts the ball rolling for you, which is to create a DS logon and or an ID.me account. And so you just follow the instructions here. You can click on this link and it will take you to where you create your DS logon. And so it's really a very simple process to create that logon, but that's what kind of gets the ball rolling. Again, once you complete that and get that account, then you'll get a call from someone at the VA to kind of further help you through the process. But again, I'm here as well to help you do that. Once you complete the veteran-owned or service-disabled veteran-owned business verification, you're able to download logos to put on your marketing materials and your business card. And so this is the VOSB verified logo. You have a similar one for service-disabled veteran-owned small business that you can then put on your website to identify the fact that you are a veteran-owned small business. So that's pretty much it in a nutshell. Are there any questions?
So are there any questions for Larry? Larry, you finished in record time here.
Yeah, that's a gift because we don't have a lengthy application process to go through, right? But I'm going to.
And so let me see here. Larry is supposed to be up. Okay. Hold on 1 second. So let me see if I can. She had another webinar she had to jump on, and she was going to jump back on with us. And then Shonda is supposed to be on at 12:30, and we are completed with those presenters that are here today. So let me see if I can reach out to Shonda real fast and see if she can. Okay, Valeria is on her way, so just hold 1 second. Are there any questions about any of the certifications that were presented today as far as the requirements or anything that Jolita or Jaquetta, who are still with us, may be able to answer for you. Oh, there's Valeria.
Hello.
Hi, so Valeria, you are up. Valeria Cummings Swope is with the City of Cincinnati Department of Economic Inclusion, and she is going to talk to you about the certifications requirements for her, or the requirements for the certifications that the City of Cincinnati offers. Thank you so much for joining us today, Valeria.
You're welcome. Do you have my slides? I can't hear you, Deborah.
Yes, I have your slides. Let me pull them up.
Okay, thank you.
Let's see. Okay, I need to share my screen. Oh, wait a minute. Okay. Okay, can you see them?
Yes.
Okay, just tell me when you want me to scroll.
Okay, you can scroll to the next one. All right, good morning, everyone. The City of Cincinnati has certifications that cover small business, minority business, women-owned businesses, and we also have subcategories under our small business. But for the most part, so that's why you see the 5 different categories that are there. What we try to do is ensure economic opportunities for all citizens seeking to do business with the City of Cincinnati. And each category, depending on where you fall, you can be certified for 1 certification, 2 certifications, a multiple of certifications. It just kind of depends on your qualifications. You can go to the next slide. So we're going to first talk about our small business certification. Within the small business certification program, we have what we call a sheltered market. And that's where we are allowing certain businesses to grow. It's kind of to increase their capacity in order to grow. They're part of what we call our sheltered market. So we have the ELBE, which is the Emerging Local Business Enterprise, and the SLBE, which I'll talk about in just a minute. The ELBE is for businesses that are located in the City of Cincinnati itself, or 25% of the labor workforce has to be domiciled, meaning living in Cincinnati. You have to be in existence for less than 5 years and have a maximum of 5 full-time employees, and the average lifetime annual gross revenues of your business has to be less than $250,000. When you fall into this category, we can do direct awards under $50,000. We can give you bid preferences on all contract types between $50,000 and $100,000. And our RFP response evaluations give preferences on professional service contracts between $50,000 and $100,000. And as I said, this allows you to, this is put together to help businesses to grow capacity. So the best thing about the ELBE is that when we let contracts into this certain territory, we only allow businesses that qualify. So it's not like you're bidding against another business that's much larger. You're only bidding against businesses that fit this particular criteria. We also have, you can go to the next slide, the SLBE. You go back one, there you go, which is the Small Local Business Enterprise. This is for businesses that are a bit larger, but they have sort of the same criteria. Once again, your business must be located within the City of Cincinnati itself, or 25% of your workforce must be domiciled in Cincinnati. The 3-year average annual gross revenue of $1 million or less. And this is sheltered market opportunities are limited to SLBE certified firms. Once again, there's bid preferences on all contract types between $100,000 and $250,000. And they also give preferences on professional service contracts between $100,000 and $250,000. This is also to build capacity for businesses that are a bit larger. So you could be an ELBE, you may fall into the SLBE, kind of depending. You could be an ELBE and then work your way into an SLBE, and then work your way out of the sheltered market program. Our goal is just to help you to build capacity. We feel like if you could get 2 or 3 of these, that will help your business really grow. And so we're really encouraging small businesses, whether you're small, minority, women, any of the above, to really look at seeing if you qualify for these sheltered market programs, because the only way we can get these to operate is that we have at least 3 or more businesses that fall into these categories in order to let contracts out in certain categories. Then we have our small business administration program. Well, I guess we'll go into our MBE. Okay, then we have our MBE and WBE programs. These are geared specifically towards certain criteria. If you're an MBE, that means you're a minority-owned company. WBE, that means you're a woman-owned company. That means 51% or more of the company is either owned by a minority or by a woman. Your principal office has to be in Hamilton County. Your business must be operated for at least 1 year by that minority or by that woman. We have subcontracting opportunities on contracts of $50,000 or more, and price preferences available on supplies and non-professional service contracts, and preference points available on responses to RFPs for professional service contracts. Now, we're very particular, I want to say about this, because we want to make sure that if you're an MB minority company or a woman-owned company, that you are truly what you say you are. People sometimes get a little frustrated during our certification process because they want to know why we ask so many questions. And that is because we want to ensure that when we certify this company for MBE or WBE, that they truly are who they say they are, because we want to make sure we're giving those opportunities to those companies. And that's once again because we want to make sure we're giving those companies the opportunities they have to get their foot in the door. And what we like to say in the Department of Economic Inclusion is that you're a good company that just happens to be minority or happens to be a woman-owned company. It's not that you're a minority or woman-owned company and then you happen to do whatever. It's just that you're a good company that just happens to be whatever, and we're just helping you get a kind of a foot up in order to prove yourself so that you can go ahead and do all those great things that you do. Next slide. Then we have our minority and women-owned business certification. This is a merge between the two. That's because you happen to be a minority and a woman. Certifications are the same. That means that your company has to be owned at least 1 year by a minority woman, minority female. You have to meet the criteria for both an MBE and a WBE. Subcontracting opportunities are the same, 50,000 or more. And you may be counted either towards the MBE contracting goal or the WBE contracting goal. You can't be counted towards both. However, it does give primes the opportunity to use you one way or the other. They cannot use you in both categories, but it gives them that opportunity to be able to use you one way or the other. Next slide. Now, the city's purchasing needs encompass many areas of specialty represented by a broad range of departments, including finance, police, fire, health, recreation, parks, transportation, engineering, community and economic development, water, sewer, buildings, inspections, and public service. A lot of times what we find out is that people sometimes think that the only thing that we do is construction or road projects, but we have a vast array of opportunities within the city itself. And I know that COVID-19 has hit and that it has caused a lot of issues for companies. But one thing that the city has been trying to do is that we've been trying to make sure that despite COVID-19, especially now that the city is up and operating again, now that we're out of the furlough area, is that we're trying to make sure that all the departments are doing the best they can to make sure that when opportunities come up, that we're being very inclusive in opening opportunities up. So any contracts that we're putting out now, we're still making sure that we have those goals set. So we're really asking for people to be sure to check the purchasing website to make sure that they check them for what they need.
I think she's got like 2 more slides.
Next one. Vendor registration. You can and should register as a vendor before you apply for certification. Why should you register through the vendor self-service? Is because you need to receive automatic email notifications of upcoming procurement opportunities by select commodity codes in your field. You need to update your vendor profile online. You need to meet contracting requirements, and you need to stay in the loop for free. To visit our city website to register, the registration is right there for you to see, and you can go in and find out what's available. Next slide.
Yeah, they're finished. Yeah.
Basic processes for
We're still on, and I've
competition.
already asked if they had any other.
Is there something, Deborah? We can hear you.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's all right. Basic process for competition. Under 5,000, city required to purchase from SBE, LBEs, SLBEs. 5,000 to 50,000, multiple quotes are required. Above 50,000, public advertisement is required. And MBE, WBE, or SBE subcontracting goals will apply. Next slide. To find public advertising business opportunities, there's the vendor self-service site and the Division of Purchasing homepage. When you go to purchasing, you want to make sure that you click on business opportunities, because that's where you will find what RFPs or whatever are available with the city. And you want to make sure that that's where you look on a regular basis, because that's where the city advertises all of the open bids that we have with the city. So be sure to check out the Division of Purchasing homepage and click on business opportunities. That's where the most recent opportunities are posted, and that's where you really want to look and see what's available and what's out there. You also want to make sure that your commodity codes, if you are registered with the city, that your commodity codes are up to date, because that's one way that purchasing, when they have opportunities out there, they'll send them out to people based on their commodity codes. So you want to make sure that your codes are up to date so that they send those out to you. And if your next steps for interested SBE, MBE, WBE firms, you want to register as a vendor with the city, you want to apply for certification, and then you want to check the site for business opportunities. Applying for certification is very important because we want to make sure we get as many companies certified with the city as possible. But in order to do business with the city, you have to register as a vendor, because that's how you get paid. So if you want to do business with the city, register as a vendor, and then apply for certification, and then check the site for current business opportunities. Those are the 3 top things I want to leave with you.
Valeria?
Yes.
I'm sorry. Is there any way we can look at the application here?
Yes.
Okay, let me. Okay, can everybody see this?
We're not seeing anything.
You don't see the City of Cincinnati?
No, we just see the PowerPoint.
Okay. Oh, because, okay, let me stop sharing, and then let me share this. Do you see it now?
Yes, now we see it.
Okay.
Okay, so if you go down, if you scroll down a little bit more, Deborah, okay, hit, go back up just a little bit and hit login. When you hit login, this is your system access place, and that's where you will put in your username and a password. If you scroll down a little more, Deborah. No, scroll on the, yeah, scroll down on the left. There you go. Well, we're not seeing anything. We're just seeing system access. Oh, hit the X. There you go.
Okay.
Okay. If you can search the certified directory, and that has all of the listing of all of these businesses that are certified with the city of Cincinnati. And what you can do is you can go in and you can search by certification type, you can search by name, you can search by what type of business you're looking for. So right now, all of these are clicked, so you can unclick what you want and put in what you want. If you keep scrolling on down, it'll ask you other things like the business name, or you can search by the type of business you're looking for. So you can put in a business description, you can put in commodity code or whatever, and then it will show, then you hit search and it will bring up whatever fits into that commodity code that you're looking for. So everybody that's registered with the city, certified by the city of Cincinnati, will fall in there based on the various categories. If you apply, then we have, if you apply for or renew certification, you can go in there, and this explains how you apply for certification. You can download the user manual, you can sign up for training classes, do different things like that. You can keep scrolling down, Deborah. It talks about how this works and everything, and if you have any issues and things like that. It has system training, outreach opportunities, and all of that. So everything that you need to get certified or any questions that you have, you can find on this page. But once you, if you want to go ahead and get certified, all you have to do is hit apply for renew certification. And then there should be, go down a little bit, there should be a place that says hit certificate. New certification. No, create account, I'm sorry. Your firm is not currently certified, so create account. And then what you'll do is put in your tax number, and then it'll look it up and see if you're already in the system. Or you can put in your business name and information here, and then it'll look in the system, make sure you're not in there. But you put everything in that it asks for. And then once you get past this point, it'll then say, do you want to be certified with the city? And you say yes. And then the next page will ask you what certifications you want. And we have one universal certification online. That way you can say, I want to be certified as an SBE. I'm a minority, so I want to be certified as a minority business. I'm female, so I want to be certified as a woman-owned business. And you check as many boxes that fit your category as you want, and then you hit continue, and it will ask you all the questions based on how many boxes that you clicked. And so there's just one there's one universal application, and you answer all the questions there. Then it'll also ask you for documents. The documents that you need 3 years of tax returns. If you're just a new business, if you've been in business at least a year or more, you have to have at least that first year of tax returns. You also need your personal tax returns. You need your resume. You need proof of business, like a business card or a signage or whatever that you'll upload. Everything is uploaded into the system. You need the Secretary of State's, I can't think of the word I'm looking for.
Valeria, is there a location on the website where they can go and see what the documents are that they need?
Yes, when you go in here to start the certification, right before you start, it'll list all the documents. It'll say, before you proceed any further, these are the following documents that you need. The other thing that's great about this system is once you start, if you need to stop, you won't lose anything. It'll save where you are so you can get started, and it'll save where you are. You'll come back, it'll say, okay, you're 30% complete. If you need to go on further, it'll say, okay, you're 48% complete or 67% complete. So you won't lose anything.
Where would I find it now, Valeria, for those that are still with us? Where would I find that document?
You have to start the certification process first.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
And then
right.
it'll list it.
Okay. So are there any questions for Valeria regarding the certifications with the city of Cincinnati?
Also, Deborah, you can go to cincinnati-oh.gov/inclusion. And on the left-hand side is the menu, and it'll say certification and registration and certification. And it'll give you a lot of information right there too. No, cincinnati-oh.gov/inclusion.
Inclusion,
Yeah,
registration?
just inclusion. Get rid of the rest of it.
Okay.
Okay, and if you scroll down on the left side of the computer is I don't know if you can see the left side on what you're doing, but on the left side is a menu, and it'll say keep going.
I have this,
Okay,
I'm not sure what this,
that's our news. Can you scroll to the left where you can see the menu? Oh, that's all right. Go back up. Hit the three. No, go down. Scroll down some. Hit the three things right there. There you
okay.
go. No, that's not it. That's the city of Cincinnati. Forget that. I don't know why you can't see our menu on your screen.
I don't know.
But
anyway,
usually
this is
on
where,
the left
this is
side
where
of the
they need to
screen.
go to get that information.
Yes, cincinnati-oh.gov/inclusion. And usually on the left side of the screen is a thing that says menu. And over there has registration and certification. And it'll list all the certifications we have. And inside that, it'll also say some of the things that you'll need for it.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you, Valeria. We are waiting for Shonda to join us. Hopefully, let me see where she is.
And one more thing, people always ask how long the certification takes. It usually takes up to 90 days once we get your certification started. I would encourage people to go ahead and get their certifications now, get started and get into the queue, because we were on furlough for a little over 3 months. And so we have a lot of certifications that are in the queue. So the sooner you get in the queue, the sooner we're going to be able to get to you. So I would encourage people to go ahead and get their certifications completed and get in there now so they can get in line.
Okay. So are there any other questions of the participants that you may have questions for Valeria or Larry or Jaquetta right at this time while we wait for Shonda to join us from the SBA? Oh, there's
Shonda's
Shonda.
there.
Okay. All right, Shonda. Let me stop sharing my screen. Okay, thank you so much, Shonda, for joining us today. I know the schedule has been moving like rapid fire, so I'm so happy you were able to adjust your schedule and your time to join us today. So I'm going to turn this over to you so you can get started and talk about the certifications with the SBA. Thank you again.
Thank you. Now, Deborah, will I be able to show slides as well as will I be able to go to a website also?
Yes, you just have to share your screen. If you go down to the bottom where it says
Okay.
share screen, if you click on that, you'll be able to share your screen.
Okay. Let's start off with the presentation. Okay. Can everyone see that?
Yes, we can see it.
Okay. Okay. Good morning, everyone, and hopefully everyone can hear me. Please let me know, are people raising their hands if they have questions or?
Yes, they are raising their hands, and then I will click and allow them to speak. so they
Okay.
can speak to you directly.
Okay, I will try to, we have a lot of information. I just decided to allow for each of the federal certifications to show you the checklist. And it is a little bit more extensive. We won't go over all of the details, but hopefully I can show the sites as well as the checklist. And that way it can be interactive. If you do have questions, please raise your hand. We'll see if we can get to them, as we do have a lot of time. So it looks like Valeria, I just came on after Valeria. It looks like Larry Brown is still on from PTAC, so that's a wonderful thing. And again, I do want to say thank you so much, Deborah, for having me. My name is Shonda Harris, and I am a business opportunity specialist with the U.S. Small Business Administration, and I work out of the Columbus District Office in Columbus, Ohio. We cover 60 of Ohio's 88 counties, and there is also a branch position, a branch division in Cincinnati. But as far as contracting is related, there are 2 business opportunity specialists. We're both in Columbus, but we do cover all of those 60 counties, including Cincinnati. So if you do have questions, you can contact myself or Jill Nagy Reynolds. So real quickly, today, we're going to talk about the SBA small business programs, the application process, the websites, and the checklists for, at the federal level, you do have the 8A Business Development Program, Hub Zone Program, the Woman-Owned Small Business Program, which includes WOSB and EDWSB. I took it off. There is the, if you are a veteran, there is the veteran-owned and service-disabled veteran-owned, but I believe Larry may have covered that during his session for PTAC, because as PTAC counselors, they do go over that. So, and then we'll, even though we'll have Q&A at the end, if you do have questions, you can go ahead and ask them during the presentation. Okay, so with the, I've already gone over these. All right. So for the 8A Business Development Program, while I transition to the slide that we have, oh, here it is, new share. I will just mention with the 8A Business Development Program, it is a 9-year program. And so if you are looking to get into that, it's 9 years. It's broken up into 2 parts. First 4 years, you can get unlimited sole source contracts. And then the last 5 years while you're in, you can still get unlimited amount of sole source contracts, but we do start to kind of wean you from that. And then there's a certain business mix that you do have to maintain. Now, with all of the federal certifications, I'm just kind of talking through this while I pull up the document that I'm looking for. You are required to get a DUNS number, and I'm sure Larry has gone over that. Getting a DUNS number, which is like a social security number for your business. And you do need to register in SAM, which is the System of Award Management. It is like the federal database for all federal vendors. You do need to register in that. So once you have those, I'm having problems opening up this file. Let's see if we can do this.
Right now, Shonda, we have 8A BD program slide on the screen. Is that what you have?
I'm actually trying to get into my file to pull up the actual checklist that individuals will need to go through as it relates to, and I'm having some problems.
Stop sharing. Are you going to use this PowerPoint?
For now, I'm trying to get to, there is a PDF documentation that has like a checklist.
Is it associated with this PowerPoint that I'm looking
No.
at? No? So stop sharing this, and then you can share your file that you're looking for.
Oh, okay, okay. My apologies. There it goes. I'm just kind of getting used to the Zoom, so please forgive me for that.
No worries, trust me.
I'm a little nervous. Okay, so okay, this is up. So let me see if I can share this. Okay.
There
Can
you go.
everyone see that? Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. And again, my apologies in kind of navigating through this. So again, if you are interested in the 8A Business Development Program, and it is a certification for those that are both economically and socially disadvantaged. And I won't spend a lot of time on that because that was the previous workshop, and we do have slides as it relates to the eligibility. So if you do meet all of the eligibility criteria and you want to apply, then we'll just kind of quickly go through this. There are a lot of documents, but we won't go into everything in detail. But if you are looking to apply, some of the basic things that you're going to need. One of the things that the SBA wants to establish is just your basic eligibility as it relates to ownership. And so one of the things that they do want to make sure that you have to show your ownership is the SBA has a Form 1010 form. If there are any stock purchases that you have for your company, sales agreements, if you happen to purchase your company from another entity or another individual, they want to be able to demonstrate that the company is yours. So anything that you can show for your stock purchases, buy, sell agreements, that will just determine your eligibility. Now, here are the breakdowns as far as your whatever type of the entity type. So if you're a corporation, LLC, partnership, sole proprietor, these are the documents that they're looking for. Now, again, I'm not going to go into everything into detail, but you can definitely see it on the screen. And one of the things that I have found in working with businesses over the last 15 or so years, businesses can be operating in one capacity, and they may have someone set up as the president, but their operating agreements could be set up completely different. So one of the things I do want to make sure that you ensure is that your documents are in alignment with the way your company is structured and the way your company operates. And so your articles of incorporation, your operating agreement, all of those documents, which should be filed with the Secretary of State once you get your business set up, your bylaws, all of those documents will demonstrate the control, who has control of your business. So if you look at that, your most recent stock purchases, I'll also add this, like we've dealt with if the company was previously owned by maybe two individuals or by a male, and now they've switched ownership and now it's a woman-owned small business. So you want to make sure that you have the proper documentation that demonstrates that that business was sold or the ownership structure changed, where maybe it was 51% owned by a male, and then they wanted to switch and then make the woman as 51. And that's fine, but you do want to make sure that you have the appropriate documentation to demonstrate that. That also includes your stockholder, your shares, and your stock certificates, front and back, making sure that that's signed. Also, sometimes the agency wants to make sure that your company is in good standing. So with the Secretary of State, they do have the certificates of good standing. And you can always go to the Secretary of State's website to download those. I don't know if there's a fee for that, but you can access those through the Secretary of State. And just depending on how your business is structured, maybe if your business did transfer, it was previously male owned and now it's it's a woman-owned, depending on the time of when that took place, there may be some additional documentation that the SBA may require. Looks like also voting agreements. So again, those are some of the documents. And then again, just depending on what is going on with your company, if there are any questions that the analyst may have, they may always ask for additional documentation. One of the things I suggest, now everything is online. I did skip over that. With the certification, this is the checklist. I will go through where you're going to actually submit the documents. So once you get your DUNS number, once you get, there is a portal called certify.sba.gov. A lot of you may remember the 8A program. It used to be paper documents that you submitted, but as of 2018, now everything is strictly online, and it's through certify.sba.gov. If we have time, I'll show you the portal for that. And all of the documentation that you see listed on the screen, you will upload these documents into certify.sba.gov. And it's broken down into sections. So all of these documents that are listed here are for ownership. There's an ownership section. So all of the documents as it relates to ownership will go in that particular section. The next section, where the agency wants to demonstrate, okay, now you were able to prove the owners of your business. If it's 100% owned by one person, if there are 2 individuals that own it, or 3. So all of that information will be uploaded. Now the agency wants to demonstrate who actually controls your company. And so one of the things they're looking for are joint venture documents, mentor protege teaming agreements, the license for your business, your business banking information, your signature, your banking account signature card. So all of those documents will demonstrate to the agency who actually controls. Also, they can look at your ownership. Some of the documents for your ownership will also demonstrate that as it relates to when you're voting, who has the majority of control as it relates to votes. So those documents also kind of demonstrate control. Moving right along. In addition to the ownership and control, the agency is really important, especially with the 8A program. They want to be able to demonstrate that your company, that your entity has potential for success in the federal market. One of the things one of the eligibility requirements for the 8A program is that your business, you should have been in business at least for 2 years. And that is to make sure that they want to make sure that not only can you run the business, can you get contracts, but they want to be able to ensure that you can do that at the federal level. So they do ask for your business tax returns, the last 3 years for both the company and then the owners. So they will be looking for some companies, the way they're structured, they can have multiple owners. So any owners that have at least 10% of interest in the business, they want to see the tax returns from all of the owners as well as the business. In addition to the owners, they do want to see the tax returns from the owner's spouses as well. The potential for success, they look at not only the company, but they also look at the owners. They want to make sure that the owners, they will look at your credit. There's some other documents that we'll go over, but they look at the owners and their spouses. In addition to the tax returns, they also want to, because the tax returns are going to show, if you were able to get contracts. So they want to look at, where are those contracts coming from? What were the NAICS codes? In addition to the tax returns, they do also want to see your financial statements. So I know in working with some of the 8A firms that we have now, some of them prior to getting in the 8A program maybe didn't prepare their financial statements. And when we say financial statements, we mean balance sheets, profit and loss statements. Now I know the our local SBDCs do assist companies in working with putting those together, knowing how to form those, knowing how to keep those. I believe the MBACs, Deborah, do the MBACs also assist companies if they needed help with their financial statements?
Yes, we can assist them.
Yes. So if you're interested in the 8A program and you don't have that, that's something I definitely strongly would suggest. And this, I think it's just also good business practice as you are expanding your business and looking to get into higher government contracting. So they will look for the balance sheet, your profit and loss statement for 3 years. For 3 years. Or in this one, it says, and then more specifically, they do want to see that over the last 90 days. So typically firms will have their financial statements and they submit them also and prepare them when they're preparing their taxes. So if you do have, depending on when you apply, you can submit those financial statements and then they may ask you for the most current 90 days. So you may have to make sure that you pull together a current balance sheet and profit and loss statement. The agency is also looking for any loan documents. So if you've gotten any loans, they do want to see those, making sure that you upload those. If you, in some instances, if you've just previously paid off a loan, or if there are any type of agreements that you may have. I know sometimes companies can enter into a mentor-protege relationship with another company and they may get financing from their mentor. So those type of documents you want to upload. If there are any bonding, if you're construction related, they want to look for your bonding capability, you can upload that. Also, definitely they will ask for a list of your contracts. Doesn't have to be federal, but they do want to list your current contracts within the last year, could be 2 years. And this is really how the agency will determine your NAICS code. I know sometimes companies will say, we're a construction company, we're an IT company, but really what the agency will do is they will look at your contracts, and then they will note where is the majority of your revenue coming from. And so it's not really what, you may say, but it's what the contracts. So they will really look at those contracts to see where's the majority of your revenue coming from. And then that is how the agency will determine what is the primary NAICS code for that company. And so sometimes we have companies that may have a variety of core competencies, and they do work in several different industries, and several different core competencies. So again, what you want to do is make sure that you look where the majority of your sales coming from. And so that will determine your primary NAICS code. Okay, are there any questions so far on that? Okay, in addition to that, the agency, in addition to being able to determine if you are going to have success in the federal market, the agency also wants to look at your character. So, and this is for all of the owners, all of the directors, again, those that have ownership of 10% or greater. They will look at your character. And so they want to see, have you been suspended? Have you been debarred from doing any federal contracting? Have you been delinquent on any of your taxes? They will also look at your character also includes if you have any, do you have a background as far as it relates to getting any type of tickets? Have you had any interaction with the law? So you do want to make sure if there has been something in your background where if there's been lawsuits, if there's been bankruptcy, it's not that it will preclude you from getting into the program, but you just want to make sure that you are letting the agency know, here's what happened. A perfect example.
Rhonda,
Yes.
I have a question. So if you're a re-entry, let's
Yes.
say you've
Great.
been to prison, does that hinder your ability to get certified with the SBA or get a contract with the federal government? Are there a certain amount of times that you have to have been like re-entered into society, and then after you do that, you know, you've been out for like 10 years or whatever, then is there any requirements as it relates to that, or how does that work?
Excellent question. For those that are may have re-entered, it just depends on, I'm going to initially say no, it may not necessarily matter. It just depends on what the offense was, depends on how long ago it was, and it depends on all of the circumstances surrounding it. So what you definitely want to do is you want to make sure that you write an explanation. So let's just say if there was an offense on your record, it could have happened 5 years ago. And so now that individual is in society, they started a business, their business is successful, but it's still on their record. So what they would do is they would write an explanation to let the agency know this is what happened, give the full details as it relates to the offense, you know, when it happened, when they were released, all the circumstances surrounding it. And then what the agency will do is they will make a determination based on all of the circumstances and all of the evidence kind of that you submit. But it doesn't preclude you from, you know, getting into the program. But I will say this, you definitely want to make sure that you are upfront and forthright early on in the application process and letting the agency know, because they do a very thorough search as it relates to a background check. So I do know that they do background checks, and as far as LexisNexis, looking at your record. So you do want to make sure, again, that you're just forthright, upfront, and that you explain what happened. And we all know sometimes, you know, making decisions, you could have been in at an early age in your life, you know, someone got caught up with the wrong crowd, made a wrong decision, you know, kind of served some time and has now changed their life and is heading in a completely different direction. But what the agency will do is that, again, they'll look at the totality of circumstances and then they will make a determination. But again, they want to be able to see and demonstrate. Now, if someone has, you know, changed the course of their life, they've started a business, their business is successful, and the agency can clearly see that there has been a change. And sometimes they may ask for letters of recommendation and whatnot, then they'll definitely take that into consideration. But if you can definitely demonstrate and prove, then that definitely works to your benefit. But again, I stress, don't leave anything out because that could work against you. And it may look like, you know, that individual may be hiding something. So
Okay.
that is for every individual owner also. So let's just say if there is a company that has at least 3 owners, and maybe one owner may have a record and where something happened in the past. So every single owner is going to have to disclose that information. And maybe we used to, when the applicants used to submit the paper documentations, they would have to submit what was called a SBA Form 912, where it goes into your personal history. And so if you do have a record, then they may ask you to fill out that Form 912, and it asks you to identify your name. If you're female, you know, if you had whatever other names you may have gone by, you have your married name, your maiden name, you know, what country you were born in. And then depending on the circumstances, what your offense, you may also have to give your fingerprints, and they may have to run that. But again, it just depends on everything surrounding what happened with your particular offense. But again, just make sure that you submit all of the information and have an explanation, and the agency will look at that and make a determination. If you are delinquent in your taxes, again, that's not something that can keep you from entering in, but what the agency wants to see is that you have an agreement set up with the IRS, or if you owe local taxes, and so you can still, maybe owe taxes, but definitely making sure that you have an agreement in place and then having documentation to support that. If there are any lawsuits or anything like that, making sure that you upload that information. If you had a bankruptcy, and again, this is for any of the owners, making sure that you disclose that, and then just making sure that you give information as it relates to that bankruptcy. And they want to make sure that that took place within the last 7 years. So the disadvantaged individual, so the 8A is based on economic and social disadvantage. So if there are two individuals that are applying, and one of them may be the disadvantaged individual, they will be looking at, they will require all the documentation from all of the owners. But again, not just the owners, it's going to be the spouses as well, those that have 10% or more interest. And that could be directors, managers. I think we kind of went over all of this. We already went over that. Yeah, and as it relates to if you have offenses, the more detailed information you can provide, the better off it will be as far as you painting a picture and giving an explanation. So as it relates to the dates, the location, the fines, what the offense was, if you're on probation, the penalties, all of that information, but being more detailed as possible definitely will work in your benefit. Also, we understand in life, if there's something, if someone is married, but they may be separated, definitely that making sure that you disclose that information and you have the documentation to support that. Now, because the 8A program is based on economic and social disadvantage, some individuals may be, maybe they've been subject to some type of disadvantage as it relates to their education, as it relates to their field. So if there was a woman that was in the construction field and maybe she didn't fit the normal description as it relates to being disadvantaged as it relates to her ethnicity, but it could be that she was disadvantaged as it relates to her particular industry. So any documentation that you can provide to support that, the agency calls that, you have to be able to submit the preponderance of evidence to be able to substantiate how you've been disadvantaged, if it was in training, if it was in growing up, if it was in your industry, but being able to basically write a narrative and including details, how you've been disadvantaged in some type of way. Maybe it was education coming up, training. And so you can submit that along with your resume, and the agency will use that as part of your documentation. And of course, if you do have to be a US citizen, that's one of the eligibility requirements. Your birth certificate, they will ask for that. There's the social disadvantage narrative. In addition to your tax returns, I I believe that was with the paper documentation, the IRS form. No, I think it was just with the paper documentation. In addition to your taxes, they will also want to see your, if you have any 401ks, your retirement accounts, your thrift savings plan, your pension, all of that documentation you do want to make sure that you have or that you're able to get even prior to you applying, making sure that you have all that documentation on hand. That will be not just for the owners, but again, this documentation is also for the spouses as well. They do want to look at the financial, the personal financial. There used to be, with the paper documentation, personal financial statements for both the owners and their spouses. And so there is a section where the owner will have to disclose their personal financial information. And there's actually, once you get into certify.sba.gov, there is basically that personal financial statement is included online. And so we'll ask, okay, where are you getting your salaries, your 401ks? And they basically want to know, what are your assets and your liabilities? Your assets and your liabilities. Yes.
I just want to jump in here. You have about 4 minutes to wrap up, because we're given 30 minutes to do the presentation and 10 minutes for it. So we're like, even though we're ahead of schedule, I just don't want, I want to, you know.
You know what, and I'm sorry. I've been spending all this time on this. So let me quickly, because this is just the 8A program. My apologies. I'm thinking we have all this extra time and that I would be utilizing it. So I'm so sorry, Deborah.
No, I just see the people are starting to drop off. So I just want to make sure that you can get as much in as possible, but also be respectful, even though we are ahead of schedule.
I got it.
If I can give back time to people, then, you know, I'm more than happy to give back time.
My apologies. All right. So that is it for the 8A program. We can send that to you. Let me stop sharing that. And let me upload for the HubZone program real quick. So with the HubZone program, again, with this, you do have to be able to demonstrate that your company is located in a HubZone. There is a HubZone map where you can plug in the address of your company, and then at least 35% of your employees has to live in a HubZone. And so real quick, what they're looking for in this, that's just with the map. They will be looking for, again, some of the same documentation for a company. They want to look at your company to see, is it a C Corp, is it a LLC, a partnership, a sole proprietor? So you have to be able to upload the documentation as it relates to your company. The ownership and control, it's the same thing. It'll be the same thing for all of the SBA small business programs, uploading the any documentation as it relates to your, whatever the structure is of your company. Your business tax returns, your personal tax returns, showing that you are a U.S. citizen. Information about your principal office. So your lease, your rental agreement, your deed, your utility bills. Your payroll, and this is important to be able to demonstrate your W-2 employees. And in addition to your payroll, you also want to be able to demonstrate and show, and you'll have to upload the documentation as it relates to your employees and where they live. Because again, at least 35% of your employees have to live in a HubZone. And so they will have to submit documentation as it relates to where they live. If it's a utility bill, if it's the documentation when you vote, all of that information you can upload. Uploading the taxes for the firm. all of the information as it relates to, again, your employees, where they live, their address, identification or proof. Sometimes it could be a license. This is information just about starting the application. Again, you can look at this because I can send it out. It's electronic. There is in the SBA's portal a site that you can go on and you can upload all of your information. And one of the things that the SBA is going to want to be able to substantiate is, of course, your business name, your EIN, your tax identification number. I'm not going to kind of go over all of that, but it's self-explanatory. Again, ownership and control, your financial information, your taxes, your financial statements, also your contracts. If there's any affiliation, if your company is affiliated with another company, they do want to see documents as it relates to affiliation. And most importantly, when you submit all of your information into the electronic portal on the SBA's website, they will send you an email to confirm that they've received your documents. And then you have 10 days. Well, once you submit all of the information, you will have 10 days in order to submit your documents. So you do want to make sure that you are on the lookout for an email from the SBA, and it will go to the owner. So whoever's applying, sometimes individuals may be assisting companies. So just make sure that the owner is on the lookout, that they look at their regular mail. That's it kind of for HubZone. I'll quickly go to the woman-owned because there's some new changes with the woman-owned small business program. So well, let me go over this really quick. Okay, let's go back to this really quick. Okay, with the woman-owned small business program, there's some new changes that were just implemented on July 15th. And so there is a new website with the WOSB and EDWOSB program. The new regs will actually go into place. They'll be effective October 15th, but the SBA has put up, there's actually a new site. And what was previously set up for the woman-owned small business program, you can do self-certification or third party. Self-certification or third party. So now what the agency is doing, you can still do third party, but now you can actually go through SBA to do the certifications, and the agency will actually do that. And so they do have a new site. And then by you going through the actual SBA's website to do the certification, it eliminates the self-certification. So if you do go through third party, there are 4 companies, 4 organizations that can provide those certifications, and there is a fee for that. But again, July 15th is when the actual website is up. It started on July 15th. They are taking applications. And then on October 15th is when everything will actually, they will put everything into kind of practice. So I will show you that website real quick in the documentation. All right, so if you're looking to apply with the new website, it is betacertify.sba.gov. Again, the documents you're gonna need, the SBA wants to determine your eligibility, so it has to be 51% owned and controlled by a US citizen, so your birth certificate, certificate of naturalization, passport, your ownership And again, the ownership goes back to the documentations for your company. So if there's any joint ventures that you may have, if there's an agreement where there were stocks certificates that were sold, if there's any trusts, the agency wants you to apply those. And again, depending on how your company is set up, this is with all of the certifications. If it's an LLC, these are the documents that you'll have to submit: a corporation, your bylaws, your articles of incorporation, partnership, a sole proprietor. And just for the sake of time, I'm not going to go into all of these. In addition to what's on the checklist, depending on the circumstances of your business, they may ask for additional documentation. So just keep that in mind. That's where. So if you're a woman-owned small business and you're economically disadvantaged, these are the requirements. And so for the individual contributors, again, the information that they want, same information kind of for all of those. In addition to, with all of the certifications I didn't mention, they will ask for a resume for all of the owners. Your personal financial information, again, they want you to disclose your assets and your liabilities. That's for the woman business owner as well as her spouse. That includes your retirement information, your tax information, and that's it. And my apologies, I got so caught up on 8A. That's what I do. I am so sorry, Deborah. I can't hear you. I can't hear you. You're muted, Deborah. You're muted.
I'm up here running my mouth. Nobody can hear me. I said, that's fine, no problem. My job is to help reel you back in. So I'm so happy that we can give back an hour and a half to about an hour and 10 minutes to everyone. So I want to thank everyone who stayed with us today during our virtual certification lab today. I want to thank all of the panelists who participated and gave up their time, as well as the participants who gave up their time and really stuck with us. We are having a certification workshop August 4th. It will start at 9 o'clock. Those invitations and links will be sent out soon. So if there's anything you missed about the first part, as far as what the certifications are, what the organization, what the benefits are for those particular certifications with those organizations, please tune in on August 4th, and we'll be more than happy to share whatever information we have with you and to answer any questions. So again, thank you everyone that participated: Shonda, Valeria, Jolita, Larry, John, Jaquetta. Thank you so much for being here. Everybody have a good day. You guys have an hour and 12 minutes back of your day. So enjoy the day, stay safe, stay healthy, and thank you for tuning in again. I'm Deborah Davis, Regional Director with Minority Business Assistance Center. Have a good day. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Deborah.